Hello everyone. Today you just see the two of us here, but we are part of the Project Ancient Tin team, involving 7 other co-authors and many other contributors. I'm Ben Roberts, Associate Professor of Archaeology at Durham University, and I've spent over 20 years researching and publishing on Neolithic and Bronze Age archaeology, early metallurgy and metal objects from Europe to China. Before joining the Durham department, I was curator for the European Bronze Age collections in the British Museum.
Alan Williams, Honorary Research Fellow at Durham University. I've had a lifelong interest in the history and prehistory of metal mining. After a career as Chief Geologist for an international glass company, I used my specialist skills for my PhD research, tracing the metal from the Great Orme Bronze Age copper mine in North Wales across Europe. The Tin Project has its origins over 50 years ago when I worked as a student geologist at Wheal Jane, one of the last tin mines in Cornwall.
Tin was the critical mineral of the ancient world. Bronze is composed of copper alloyed with around 10% tin to produce a harder, easier to cast and more golden coloured metal, which for many centuries was the preferred metal for tools and weapons. Tin is, however, a globally scarce metal, much scarcer than copper, so posed a problem, especially for the rapidly growing Bronze Age towns, cities and states around the Eastern Mediterranean. One of the defining debates in Bronze Age European and Mediterranean scholarship for the last 2 centuries is the tin problem. But simply, where did a region without major tin deposits obtain its tin?
The only major deposits that could feasibly have supplied the large bronze-consuming societies of the Eastern Mediterranean are in Europe and Central Asia. These deposits are up to 4,500 kilometers away from the main areas where the tin was most needed. Minor deposits elsewhere would have only been sufficient for local needs. The major tin deposits in Europe are in Britain, Cornwall and Devon, in Iberia, in the Erzgebirge on the German-Czech border, and in Brittany. By far the largest and most productive deposits are in Britain, which produced an estimated 2 million tons of tin metal from extensive alluvial tin deposits, that is, tin ore stones eroded from veins and deposited in streams, and much later directly from veins in hard rock. These abundant, accessible, globally important tin deposits with easy access to sea and river routes were probably continuously worked for over 4,000 years, dominating Europe in the medieval period according to the earliest historical records.
The first sustained bronzes appear in Southwest Asia around 3000 BC, but only part of their metalwork was changed over to bronze from copper, and there was a limited geographic spread with virtually none in Europe by 2200 BC. This may be explained by the main initial tin sources being limited and expensive because they were coming from thousands of kilometers away overland from Central Asia, as is suggested by ancient texts.
The real bronze revolution was the switching of virtually all metalwork to full tin bronze across Europe, called bronzization, in the early 2nd millennium BC, and then reaching the whole Mediterranean in the mid-2nd millennium BC. Our project tackled the long unanswered question as to whether the rich tin deposits of Britain were the main driver of bronzization across Europe and the Mediterranean. In Britain, the switch to tin bronze was probably due to skilled metalsmiths within the beaker groups that had moved from continental Europe in the mid-3rd millennium BC. As accomplished prospectors, they would have discovered, while searching for alluvial gold in Cornwall, an unusual heavy black mineral, tin ore, associated together in that region. We know that beaker smiths were exploiting Cornish gold and tin sources as well as copper sources in Southwest Ireland and subsequently in Wales. Their innovation of tin-bronze alloying rapidly replaced all copper and arsenical copper metal in Britain around 2200 BC, centuries ahead of the rest of Europe.
Besides the abundant tin deposits, the chronology of tin bronze adoption strongly favours Britain as spearheading bronzisation, because they switched from tin bronze around 2200 BC, centuries ahead of the rest of Europe. In the following centuries, bronzisation progressively moves eastwards across Europe, reaching the Mediterranean in the mid-2nd millennium BC. In recent years, there is growing archaeological evidence of widespread Bronze Age tin workings across Cornwall and Devon. The only known tin mining tools in Europe, a wooden spade and an antler pick from the Bronze Age, were found in Cornwall and have recently been dated to around 1600 and 1200 BC, respectively. Also, alluvial tin ore or its traces on tools have been found at numerous Bronze Age sites across Cornwall, dating from 2200 BC, very much in the Beaker period, to 800 BC and beyond. Evidence of the Bronze Age tin trade has emerged from 40 tin ingots from a shipwreck off the Devon coast. We have also the evidence from classical texts dating to the Iron Age of a tin trading island in Cornwall called Ictus, probably St Michael's Mount, from where tin was taken to France and reached the Mediterranean in 30 days.
In Project Ancient Tin, numerous alluvial tin ores and tin artifacts from across Cornwall and Devon were sampled and analysed for the first time using 3 independent techniques: trace elements, tin isotopes and lead isotopes. Tin ores and some tin artifacts from other major European tin sources were also analysed, and this allowed tin from Britain to be characterised and distinguished from other European sources. All the data was compared to existing information from 3 Bronze Age shipwrecks off the coast of Israel and to our new data from an early Iron Age shipwreck off the coast of Mediterranean France. All matched the Cornwall and Devon data, and the higher levels of the element indium in combination with the isotope data eliminated the other European sources.
The widespread distribution of alluvial tin in virtually every valley of Cornwall and in Dartmoor on Devon, rather than a single mine site, favours a decentralised production model in prehistory, with agriculture still dominant. The tin would have been taken to coastal Ictus-type trading places before being moved by merchants along known Bronze Age maritime, riverine and overland routes across Europe, and then well-established maritime routes to the eastern Mediterranean as part of a pan-European trading network. Estimating the scale of the Bronze Age tin trade is difficult, but can be inferred from estimates of Bronze Age copper production from more than 100 known mines. These speculative estimates suggest that tin production could have been around 100 tons per year in the mid-2nd millennium BC. We know that using similar technology in AD 1200, Cornwall was producing around 400 tons per year of tin, employing around 6,000 part-time workers. So the Bronze Age estimate seems plausible, supplemented later by the other European deposits.
The estimated scale of the tin trade is far larger than had previously been imagined, and requires an entirely new perspective on what Bronze Age miners and merchants were able to achieve. Britain, an island on the edge of the Bronze Age world, where there are no cities, towns, and very few villages, has been shown to be a major source of tin for bronzisation across Europe and the Mediterranean in the mid-2nd millennium BC. We envisage communities of scattered settlements in Cornwall and Devon bringing tin to central coastal trading sites and so they were able to successfully supply a critical mineral to the Bronze Age world. The value of the tin gradually increased on its long down-the-line trading journey across the continent to the markets of the Mediterranean. It is probably no coincidence that around 1300 BC, technologies from the East in the form of sophisticated weighing systems, glass beads, and bronze swords reached the small farming communities living along the Atlantic coasts.
Now the key answers to the tin problem have been established, we need to understand where and how the tin trade operated and at what scale. This means surveying and excavating the potential coastal trading sites in Cornwall and Devon, as well as undertaking peat coring to provide further evidence of the scale and extent of alluvial tin ore extraction. We have undertaken the first ever pilot excavations on St Michael's Mount, probably the tin trading hub of classical texts known as Ichthys. This has revealed large amounts of late Bronze Age to early Iron Age pottery in circular structures. The most exciting discovery so far are the handheld stone tools with tin ore embedded on crushing surfaces, providing the first evidence linking St Michael's Mount to the tin trade. There is an enormous amount more to understand in Britain, Europe, and the Mediterranean about the ancient tin trade, and an entirely new history to be written about how it shaped the communities involved over the millennia. There are clues out there waiting to be discovered, and we aim to find them.